for power of the realm, if you will. And none of them were going to join the other. They were all fighting each other. Now, kind of like what you got going on in Syria right now. You've got Assad, who the Russians back. You've got the rebels, who are the small force, kind of like Star Wars rebels, that have the backing of the Obama administration. And then you have ISIS, Islamic State. Some people say that that they're backed by Iran at a proxy, but it's an Al Qaeda group, I do believe. Basically, it's a good old Iraqi Ba'athist. Got these three factions, and right now, the poor rebels, they're because we're not doing what we need to do or should be doing. They're almost inexistent right now. They've been thoroughly drummed out, beaten. So now the war basically is, we're just sort of flying around, playing cowboy, I guess, while ISIS and Assad fight it out. Now, ISIS means Islamic State in Syria. ISIL means Islamic State in Libya. Now, the administration can very well have somebody put the blame on Libya for the Islamic State. I mean, after all, that's why they went in there and bombed, and after all, that's why this video upset them so much that they killed the ambassador and 3 other Americans there. So it is safe and preferable to say ISIL. Even when everybody else around you is saying ISIS, notice how the administration always says ISIL, because they do not want you to think that the Islamic State has a stronghold or is strong in Syria. Well, it is. It's stronger than the rebels, and we're not really doing anything to take out Syria. To take out ISIS. We're not. And this beacon that absolutely proves that point. U.S. pilots confirm Obama administration blocked 75% of Islamic State strikes. One of the pilots says we can't get clearance even when we have a clear target in front of us. Basically, U.S. military pilots have returned from the fight against the Islamic State in Iraq, are confirming that they were blocked from dropping 75% of their ordnance on terror targets because they could not get clearance. Couldn't get clearance to launch a strike, launch an attack. According to a targets are often blocked due to an Obama administration policy to prevent civilian collateral damage. According to Representative Ed Royce, the Republican House Foreign Affairs Committee, the problem with that is that ISIS obviously knows this. What are they doing? They're putting civilians in the way as human shields. Well, here's what you do. To some people, it may sound cruel, it may sound mean, but this is what you do. You take the stones and the slings and the arrows. When you do this, however, because you got to have guts to stand up for it, but you just bomb it anyway. Now, one of two things are going to happen eventually. One possibility of something going to happen. One of these two things will happen if you do that. One, the enemy will stop putting innocent civilians up there because they know that it's not going to stop them anyway, stop you from bombing them. Or two, it is going to make civilians say, no, we're not doing it. And they'll begin to resist your enemy, causing your enemy all kinds of headaches and grievances that they don't want to have to deal with because they're in the middle of fighting and battle and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so evidently we're not willing. I mean, look, I heard it today. I've said this, but I heard it today. The military's job plain. That's plain. We're not there to, look out for folks and to protect others. Not the military's job. Well trained, and they have the equipment that allows them to efficiently kill people and break things. That's what they're there for. We're seeing pictures now of potential targets that are going unchallenged because Obama says, well, they might have civilians drive, like trucks. Well, they might have civilians driving those oil trucks. We can't hit those oil. You're supporting the enemy anyway, so it doesn't matter. This whole notion that you only attack, no, you have to attack the entire society, if you will. If you're in a war, your goal is to win the war. And of course, your goal in winning the war is to end the war as quickly as possible, serving your sides. It means that you've got to go in and do something that somebody in the future may think is a little bit horrific, because everybody's second guessing world. The United States is the only country to use an atomic bomb in anger. People are saying, well, that was bad. No, it wasn't. You got to have the intestinal fortitude to stand up for it. So if you and blow up some oil tankers that are driven by civilians, well, stopping the flow of oil that could cause more civilians' lives than just a few drivers. Works. Damage. Nobody likes to hear that term. You got all these liberals. They don't like to hear that term, collateral, and nobody wants to be collateral damage. Obviously, no, they don't want their house struck. They don't want their innocent legs blown off and that kind of. But that's what war is about, which is why you try to win it as quickly as possible, and you try to avoid it as much as you possibly can. But understand, when the time comes for war, and you have to deploy your military to kill people, break things, and you should let. Of course, you can't repair the lives and bring them back, but you can repair all the buildings that you've broken. Can't allow the enemy to go on, because they'll end up killing more innocent people than you. They'll drag on the war, killing more military personnel as on both sides. The reason for dropping the bombs was to try to save lives on both sides. Million men. Did you want to? Just so a few thousand citizens can survive. No. Sometimes you have to look at the greater good and the greater versus the greater. You have to also remember, we didn't start the war. So going after ISIS in Syria. Now, if it's in Libya, I would say ISIL, because you're not going to ISIL in Syria. It's ISIS, in Islamic State in Syria. Well, we gave them ISIS and ISIL. Obama is just trying to obfuscate the fact that ISIS is in Syria. No getting around that. What he's doing. Now, the policy is being blamed for allowing Islamic State militants to cross Iraq and continue waging terrorist strikes. Representative Ed Royce and Wednesday about the flaws in the U.S. campaign to. He went 12 full months while ISIS was on the march without the U.S. using that air power. And in fact, to talk to us, they say quarters of our ordnance we can't drop clearance, even when we have a don't understand this strategy at all, because this is what has allowed ISIS the advantage and ability. No, look, we see that we're not making progress, or we're not making progress over there simply for the fact that we're not engaging the enemy. I mean, Russians are dropping bombs left and right. The French come in there and drop bombs and destroy stuff. We've been flying over there for months. And there shouldn't be anything left that we don't want there to be left. But obviously there's a ton. So what the hell have we been doing? Well, under Obama's regime, we've been doing nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Beyond that, we've done nothing. Oh, we've dropped a few bombs here and there, killed, sent a few cruise missiles in, killed a few people, wasted a lot of bombs, wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of cruise missiles, no big deal. It'll do nothing. You guys, not that we really need to do a lot. We're just trying to drop a few bombs in the air, just a few, not a whole. We're not trying to carpet bomb anything. We just want to do surgical strikes. Wonderful ISIS people. Well, they're putting themselves, putting civilians in. Some of them may get killed in the war as hell. Don't enter it lightly. That's why you don't prolong it. You want to find the quickest. Don't want to drag it out. You don't want to say, well, I don't want to hurt this person or this, but no. Say, get it. You say, like Larry Larry, you're done. Right, I just said, get her done. So get out there, Mr. President. Let the military do what they do best. What they do best is, of course, kill people and break things. Nothing wrong with it, because they're defending us. They're defending the whole. I hate that term, homeland. Oh, George W. Bush. Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security. Homeland. But in any case, get out there and you find the enemy. And wherever they are, you rout them and kill them. Oh, it's always worked. And the person who does the most killing, the most efficiently, has the biggest army left standing, winner. I don't know. Do you want ISIS or Putin or Xi from China? I sure as hell don't.